All right, hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk about Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York and the issue of should he resign from office because of all the multiple sexual accusations against him. Um, Let me just be very clear about this. I personally don't care for him, right? He's a Democrat, fake Democrat in my opinion, and I don't really care for him. Don't care for how he handled COVID-19 in New York. Don't care for the extensive shutdown and putting people out of work and all of that stuff. And I'm not even going to get started on the whole nursing home scandal, right? But let's just specifically talk about the accusations against him that's been made about sexual harassment, sexual assault, and things of that nature, and people calling for his resignation. And he says he's not going to resign, right? So there's an ongoing investigation, as there should be. Now, my thing is, I do agree that he should not resign. And here's why. We live in the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. Everyone is entitled to due process. If somebody accuses you of something, there has to be an investigation. And depending on what it is, depending on the situation, if a trial is necessary, then there's a trial, right? But lately, in the last, I would say maybe 5 years or so, we have seen this explosion where when somebody is accused of doing or saying something, they automatically get punished by the public. And I'm going to talk about this with regards to people in the public eye, right? People in the public eye like Andrew Cuomo, politicians, celebrities, sports figures, people in the public eye. When they are accused of something, they're in trouble, right? An accusation can destroy you. Whether you did it, said it, it doesn't matter. If somebody says you did it or says you said it, you're in trouble. And that shouldn't be the case, right? Why are you in trouble? Because somebody accused you of doing something. Shouldn't there be an investigation and a determination of the facts before everybody jumps to punish this person? And two things that are very, very serious. There's, if you're accused of racism, you're automatically guilty. If you're accused of anything sexual, you're automatically guilty. A woman must be believed. I believe that a woman must be believed to the extent that if a woman says something happened, she should be believed enough for there to be an investigation. You know, back in the day, women would go to the police and complain about things, and they would just be brushed off, and nobody would look into it or do anything, right? So, to that extent, I believe if a woman goes to the police and says, hey, my husband beat me or my husband abuses me, whatever it is, they need to take it seriously and they need to look into it. There needs to be an investigation, right? And if that investigation determines that something happened and it's enough to arrest that person or charge them with a crime, then that needs to happen. But that is the extent to which a woman needs to be believed. A woman shouldn't be believed to the point that a man automatically loses his job, or a man, if you're a public figure, you automatically lose all your endorsements, lose your job. If you're on a TV show or if you're in a movie, all of a sudden you're just getting fired, because those people want to protect their interest, which is money, and they think that negative publicity is going to hurt them, right? the law should supersede your financial interests, right? A person's rights, a person's right to due process should supersede your financial interests. If somebody is working for you and they're accused of something and there's no evidence, there's no investigation, they shouldn't lose their job because it's bad publicity. Nobody should lose their job because it's bad publicity, right? When you sign a contract, if you're an actor or athlete, you sign a contract to endorse a product for a company. Maybe in that contract they have some kind of code of conduct, moral clause or something like that. Well, if somebody accuses you of doing something, if a woman says, he beat me, he sexually assaulted me, that's an accusation. There needs to be an investigation, right? It doesn't matter how angry the public gets about the accusation. There needs to be some type of investigation to determine the facts. And if this person indeed did this, or if the person making the accusation is doing this to hurt them. Because let's be honest, people lie, right? Is it possible that a woman would lie on a man and say he did something to her just to hurt him? Yes, it's possible. Like, nobody wants to hear that. That's the thing. It's crazy to me that nobody is willing to accept that that's a possibility, right? People kill people. Like, people literally murder people every day. But the idea that you would lie to hurt somebody, if it's a woman, no, we cannot accept that. We cannot accept that this woman might lie to hurt this man out of spite or out of anger. But it's a real possibility, right? And this is why we have due process. And nobody should lose their job or lose their endorsement deal because of an accusation. You have athletes getting cut from their teams because of an accusation. There has been no determination of facts, and they just lose their job anyway because somebody accused them of something and it looks bad, right? If as a society, people are just going to lose their jobs and we're going to be okay with it, then what value are the rules and rights we have in place? What value will they have? If financial gain is more important than somebody's rights, then what good is rights? What good is this person's right to due process if the company that they signed a contract with to do an endorsement, the minute that accusation hits and everybody on social media has an opinion and it's a negative opinion, you fire them, you let them go. What value is their rights? You didn't uphold their rights, right? In my opinion, I think a lot of celebrities who have been dropped from endorsement deals, I truly believe they could go back, and they should. I would encourage any celebrity out there right now, if you're hearing this, listen to me very carefully. If you've ever been publicly accused of something, whether it was something like racism or sexual harassment or sexual assault or whatever, and you didn't do it, or hell, even if you were guilty, at the time that the company terminated you, there was no evidence or any facts that they could use to determine your guilt in order to let you go, right? How do you let somebody go? How do you fire somebody? How do you drop a person from an endorsement deal? There has to be a reason, right? There has to be some type of you violated our moral clause, or you violated our code of conduct. There has to be some reason for that, because there was an agreement that you're going to do this. I don't think anybody is signing a contract that says we can terminate you at any time for any reason. I mean, I wouldn't waste my time signing that contract. Like, what am I working for you for? I could sign it today and tomorrow you decide, we don't want to use you. You're out of a job. Like, who wants to sign that contract? I wouldn't sign it. If you need me, then you need to give me a contract that is beneficial to me, right? So I don't think, people are signing contracts that give the companies the power to just terminate them at will for any reason. So if at the time you were dropped from your endorsement deal, or you were fired from your TV show, or you were fired, right, without any proof, simply because there's an accusation that's been made against you, and it's a bad accusation, I think you can get a lawyer, and you should get a lawyer, and you should sue the hell out of that company. And I think there are a lot of companies out here that's liable right now to be sued for their actions, for firing people without any type of due process, any investigation, simply because an accusation was made. Like, we cannot have a society where we're just firing people based on accusations and there's no facts or no evidence that can be used to determine that person's guilt or innocence. We simply cannot have a society where that's happening. And as much as I dislike Andrew Cuomo, I think the process needs to go the way of an investigation as what's happening, and he needs to stay in office. Even though, if it's determined he's guilty and he has to leave, I personally won't feel sorry for him. I won't miss him. But in the meantime, the process needs to happen the way it should happen, right? And it needs to happen for every single person. Not for him because he's a Democrat, but when a Republican is accused of something, every Democrat on the planet wants to jump up and tell them to resign. It needs to happen for him. Due process needs to happen for him, and due process needs to happen for every single person, regardless of your gender or your political affiliation or your race, right? Due process is guaranteed to every single person. It's not dependent on who's accusing you, right? Yes, we as a society, we should do a better job of protecting women from violent situations and things of that nature. I totally agree and believe that we have to do that, but we cannot infringe on people's basic rights in order to do that. Everyone has the right to due process. So when a woman makes an accusation, she has to be believed to the degree that an investigation will be opened into the situation, but not to the degree that we automatically assume the accused is guilty. Not to that extent. The investigation and the determination of facts and evidence will determine that outcome. But in the meantime, a woman must be believed enough for there to be an investigation. Period. That's it. Nothing more. It's not about guilt. I think when people say a woman must be believed, it's been twisted because most people on social media are morons. That's the reality. Most people on social media are stupid. And you have to be careful what you say because they take things literally, right? A woman must be believed means a woman must be believed to the extent that the legal authorities are willing to open an investigation and look at what she's accusing the other person of doing, right? It doesn't mean that a woman must be believed doesn't mean that when she says this man did this, we must automatically believe that he is guilty. That is not what it means. It means we should believe it enough to hold an investigation. Period. That's where it stops. After that, the due process, the legal rights has to come into play. And in that case, Andrew Cuomo should not have to resign from office until the legal facts, the determination of facts and evidence proves that he did something wrong. Now, to date, there's like 7 women, so the odds are not in his favor. But nonetheless, he is still entitled to due process. Murderers get due process. They go to court. They get a trial. They get due process. So how come people out here being accused of stuff aren't getting due process? They're just, everybody on social media has become judge, juror, and executioner of justice instead of the actual justice system. People have to be given due process based on the law. And if you're a company and you are firing people because of bad press, I hope your contracts are ironclad and you can do that. Because a lot of these celebrities, I truly believe there are a lot of celebrities who should be suing some of these companies because they were fired wrongfully. Even if they were guilty of what was said. At the time, there was no evidence. It was just an accusation. There was no investigation. There was actually no evidence and no determination of fact before they were fired or dropped from their, endorsement deal or whatever, right? So, technically speaking, I think they could still sue. Now, let's say you signed an endorsement deal for 5 years and $5 million over the 5 years. And the company says, look, we're going to let you go, but we're going to give you your money because we had an agreement. We're going to pay you the $5 million. We're just going to let you go because we can't use you. This is bad publicity. The problem with that is you might say, well, that's okay. You got your money. But here's the problem with that. The problem with that is when that company lets you go, even though they paid you out the contract, if that's even happening, the problem with that is it gives the perception that you're guilty. It gives the perception that they believe that you're guilty. And if they believe you're guilty and they put, it's become known that you've been dropped, the public now further believes you're guilty. And how are you ever going to get another job? How are you ever going to get another endorsement deal if everybody thinks you're guilty? Like, these things are doing irreparable damage to a lot of these people's lives and their careers. And just paying them out the money is still not good enough. I feel like, they need to keep their contract, right? Unless there's some mutual agreement and that person mutually agrees that, hey, you know what? Just pay me my money and I'll walk away. Unless they did that and there was iron contract signed or something and both sides were okay with that decision. If that's not the case and the other person, the accused person, wasn't okay and they're being forced out of the contract, I think that company should be sued. If I was a celebrity, and I'm not big on lawsuits, but to me, lawsuits like this is important because it protects people's rights. It's not about the money, even though you're going to get money. It's about protecting our rights as a country and as a people, right? If every company puts their financial gain above your basic rights as a human being under the law, our laws and rights will have no value in this society. Every decision that's being made will be made based on financial gain, based on the love of money. And when that happens, nobody has any rights. On paper, the paper might say this, you have this right, but the other person says, no, I'm not going to uphold that right because it's going to cost me money. I'm not going to uphold that. You're being accused of something bad. Yes, you're entitled to due process, but I can't keep you because that's going to cost me money. I got to let you go. Right? I got to let you go. Well, guess what? You just violated my rights. So now I'm going to sue you. And I'm going to take your money anyway. That money you thought you were saving, you're not going to have it anyway because you're going to give it right back to me. And I think a lot of celebrities need to be filing these lawsuits. I haven't seen them, but I would like to start seeing them. If you're a celebrity and you're out there and you're listening to this and you've had this happen to you, I think you have a legitimate lawsuit. You should sue. If you've lost an endorsement deal over an accusation and there was never any proof of wrongdoing at the time when you were terminated, you have a valid lawsuit because your rights were not upheld by that company, and you should sue. And so I'm not going to keep going with this. I think I've basically made my point. I think Governor Andrew Cuomo, even though I could care less for him, I want to make that clear. I don't like this man at all. He's a Democrat. He's a liar. He's a scam artist as far as I'm concerned. But based on how this country is ran, I do not believe that he should have to resign until the investigation ends and there's a determination of facts and evidence that proves that the accusations against him are true. It's highly unlikely that 7 women are going to get together and lie and come up with this story. But nonetheless, that's not the point. The point is due process has to happen. It has to happen because that's how our society works. And until that happens, he should stay in his job unless for some reason he decides to do otherwise, right? But in the meantime, if he chooses not to resign, I don't think he should have to resign because of an accusation until that accusation has been proven through an independent investigation. All right? That's how our society works. And that has to happen every time. No matter if you're a celebrity, no matter if you're an athlete, no matter if you're a regular person, no matter if you're just a public figure, right? Or just a regular person. It needs to happen every single time, no matter what your political affiliation is, no matter what your gender is, no matter what your race is. It needs to happen every time, and anybody who suggests something different needs to be called out and checked. You need to be checked if you do not believe in due process for every single American. So with that said, I thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I hope this makes sense to some of you, to most of you. It should, but some people are just idiots and it's not going to make sense to you. I get it. But I hope it does, because we have to get back to upholding this idea of due process in every aspect of life. So please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you and have a good day.